Welcome back to History Uncovered. I'm Alex, and today we continue our exploration of Operation Anadyr, the Soviet Union's covert deployment of nuclear missiles to Cuba.
And I'm Jordan. In this episode, we'll delve into the complex dynamics between Khrushchev, Castro, and the broader geopolitical landscape that led to one of the most dangerous standoffs in history.
In March 1962, as Anatoly Dobrynin took up his post as Soviet ambassador in Washington, Khrushchev's private advice was clear: don't ask for trouble. Yet publicly, he was preparing for a bold move in Cuba.
Khrushchev's intentions were twofold: to address his grievances over U.S. missiles in Turkey while simultaneously plotting to deploy Soviet missiles in Cuba. He viewed this as a way to level the playing field.
Khrushchev later claimed that the idea for the Cuban missile deployment came to him during a visit to Bulgaria. However, it's believed he already conceived the plan while at his Black Sea dacha.
During a meeting with Defense Minister Marshal Rodion Malinowski, Khrushchev provocatively suggested, "What if we throw a hedgehog down Uncle Sam's pants?" This metaphor captured his vision of surprising the U.S. with a covert missile deployment.
Malinowski, a hawkish figure in the Soviet military, surprisingly supported Khrushchev's plan. His long-standing grievances against the U.S. fueled a desire to strike fear into American hearts.
However, this support was based more on ideology than a clear understanding of the consequences. Malinowski and Khrushchev underestimated the potential American reaction to such an aggressive move.
Amid these discussions, Alexander Alexeyev, the KGB station chief in Cuba, was summoned back to Moscow. He was informed of his new role as ambassador and the plan to site nuclear missiles in Cuba.
Alexeyev's immediate response was skepticism. He understood that deploying missiles would alienate Latin American countries and likely provoke a strong U.S. response.
Khrushchev was adamant about maintaining secrecy. He instructed the delegation sent to Cuba to pose as an agricultural mission, carrying no paperwork that could expose their true intentions.
When they arrived in Cuba, Castro's response was surprisingly calm. He expressed a willingness to consider the deployment of Soviet missiles, framing it as a bold move against U.S. imperialism.
Castro's readiness to accept the missiles showcased his revolutionary zeal, but also highlighted a reckless disregard for the potential consequences of such a decision.
His willingness to risk confrontation with the United States demonstrated not only his hatred for American influence, but also a desire to assert Cuba's place on the world stage.
The ideological motivations behind the deployment were compounded by a visible rift within Cuba's communist factions. Khrushchev feared that Castro might lean towards China amidst rising tensions between the two superpowers.
With the memory of the Bay of Pigs fresh in his mind, Khrushchev believed that deploying missiles would deter any future American aggression against Cuba.
Khrushchev's belief that the U.S. would hesitate to strike against nuclear-armed Cuba was based on a flawed understanding of American resolve. He thought a surprise deployment would restrain U.S. military action.
This perspective was dangerously naive. Many in the Soviet military recognized that such a move could escalate tensions to the brink of nuclear war.
Despite skepticism from some officials, there was a pervasive culture of submission in the Kremlin. Most members of the Presidium were hesitant to challenge Khrushchev's authority.
This lack of open debate meant that critical voices were often silenced, leading to decisions made without fully considering the consequences.
As the plan moved forward, both Soviet and Cuban leaders were unaware of the catastrophic consequences that could arise from their decisions. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of diplomacy and brinksmanship.
Join us next time on History Uncovered as we delve into the Cuban Missile Crisis itself and explore how the world teetered on the edge of nuclear war. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious and keep exploring history with us.
See you next time.